Talkin Sex Live is recorded in front of a live audience. This show is for mature listeners only. Hello, you're Talkin Sex Live with Chet and Diane. I am Diane.
And I am Chet, and we are unlicensed sex therapists here to share our sexual knowledge with the world. We haven't gone to any type of schooling for this. We're just had a whole lot of sexual experience, and we are sex educators that want to help others out. So typically, we have a producer, Wells. Also, we have a guest
expert as well. Join us, but not tonight. We have a
special show where we did an interview with one of the most knowledgeable sex educators that we've ever met. It was an honor doing this interview. We talked to her a couple weeks ago, and we filmed it. And we want to just go ahead and show the whole thing. Now, we were planning on doing just like a couple segments, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but we had so much good stuff to talk about that we decided just to go and we want to play the whole thing because it's nonstop, really, really good information that just happens to fit perfectly on our show. So we're streaming right now live to Twitch, and we will go ahead and play this pre-recorded interview. But if anybody wants to go ahead and
add some comments in there, we'll reply.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and reply to the comments, and then once the show is done, we'll go ahead and if anybody has any questions, we'll discuss some stuff. But why not? Why beat around the bush? We're gonna go ahead and just start this up. So let's all welcome Susan Bratton, sex specialist, educator, and orgasmologist, sex entrepreneur. Here we go. Okay, we are here with Susan Bratton. She is a sex therapist, and let's go ahead and just introduce you. Hi, Susan. How are you doing?
Well, I want to tell you I'm not a therapist.
You're not a therapist either.
The doctor thing.
No, oh, no.
Okay. I'm not a therapist. So I better tell you what I do, Chet. Because,
yeah, go ahead. What's your specialty, Susan?
Clear it up for us.
Because the last thing I want to do is hear about somebody's problems in an hour-long session.
Exactly.
I mean, God love the sex therapists. They deal with the most difficult issues, you know. But no, what I actually am is a publisher of passionate lovemaking techniques.
Ooh, very nice.
I teach people how to have hot sex through my books, my videos, and my audios. So, and I also have I have a publishing company, and I've been writing sex techniques and publishing sex techniques over 44 different programs and books for the last going on 20 years. But I also have a supplement company. I make libido supplements and blood flow supplements for people who want to feel more. So that's what I do. So I don't see people one-on-one. I'm not a therapist.
Not at all.
I refer people out to all of my therapists, all my friends who are therapists, for depending on the issues. But I really help people with sex techniques, orgasm skills, and bedroom communication skills. And like Peter, how to incorporate sex toys, what sex toys are good, what you can do with them. Different ideas for having hot sex dates. I have a sex life bucket list assessment where you can keep your sex life spicy by seeing what you and your partner are most interested in doing in the bedroom. That's the kind of stuff that I do. I like to say I transform having sex into making love.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Sounds very wonderful.
Yeah. So, I mean, we try to promote that as well on our show. And so I feel like you are the great person to have with us right now. So we've been looking over some of your products, and you have DVDs that are sex education DVDs, but they're actually, I mean, would you say that they're pornographic, or I mean, they actually show how to do certain moves and whatnot?
Well, I think so. They are real people demonstrating techniques, and they are video, but I wouldn't call them pornographic.
Not pornographic, just
learning.
Learning.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Education.
Love making techniques, more like tantric love making, more more specific pleasuring techniques, where I think porn is mostly just meant for men to jerk off.
Yeah, it's just, it's all acting. It's not real.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And
in fact, it's a terrible educational tool usually.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's the opposite. It's the
Exactly.
you got to do the George Costanza in your sex life after you watch porn, the opposite of whatever you
exactly.
So
I remember there was a big backlash because there was so much focus on, finally everyone became aware of the clitoris, shockingly. But porn became so over-focused on it that women were like, hold on, pull back. You're over-focused on this now. You've learned a little bit too much.
Yeah. So, and then you have other types of instructional DVDs, right? Is that correct?
I do.
Yeah.
What I do is I have orgasm skills, a couple of them. I have female liquid orgasm, which teaches female ejaculation, so how to release your feminine waters. And then that's published. I published that with Tallulah Sulis, who is an international squirtologist.
Oh, wow.
And then isn't that so fun? And then I have Multi-Orgasmic Lover for Men that I published with Jim Benson, and he's an international men's tantra trainer, and he teaches tantra teachers how to teach tantra.
Yeah,
that's
see
a tongue
that
twister
20
there.
times fast. Yeah,
By the seashore.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
That technique is actually called the me breath, the much ecstasy breath, and it is a technique that helps man with stamina. It's a squeeze, a breathe, and a thrust combined, kind of like you learn how to do a golf swing or drive a car, a stick shift. And essentially what it does is it allows you to gas and brake your arousal during penetrative sex so that you don't come too fast. And then it goes on to teach you how to have unlimited stamina, because it teaches you how to separate orgasm and ejaculation so you can have full body male multiple orgasms and then ejaculate when you want to. But most guys think that ejaculation and orgasm are like conjoined.
The same thing.
You can't do one without the other, and you totally can. You can have all the orgasms you want, and then you can come. Then you can ejaculate. So Multi-Orgasmic Lover for Men is one of my programs. Another one is probably my favorite program, in all honesty. It's called Expand Her Orgasm Tonight. And it's orgasmic meditation, deliberate orgasm, extended massive orgasm. This 5-stroke clitoral technique has had many different names from many different disciples of Morehouse. Your California folks, you might have heard of Morehouse, Moore University, Susan and Victor Barranco, who taught people this technique by living in an expanded orgasm community for many years. And it's a 5-stroke technique that basically helps women have these orgasms that go beyond multiple orgasms or extended orgasms,
like whole body, like out of body orgasms, or
like you can come and come and come for an hour.
Like one after another, or is there like a peak and then a valley and then a peak, or is it just constant orgasm?
It's like a stair step where it keeps you're stacking orgasms, and they're getting longer and more intense as you drop into the stroking experience.
Wow.
Now, I'm curious with some of these more advanced techniques, speaking for instance, like teaching women to ejaculate, or the multi-orgasmic techniques for men, having had a variety of partners with different abilities within that range, do you find that some people just plain can't achieve that, or do you find that with enough training anybody can reach this? Because sometimes there's anatomical differences that just make it too difficult for some people.
I personally feel, well, I'll answer it in this way, Peter. One of the things that I did last year was I wrote something called Come With Me, the 20 different kinds of orgasms. Oh, wow. And every week I dropped an orgasm for men and an orgasm for women, or an orgasm for the XX chromosome body and an orgasm for the XY chromosome body, because I embrace the full gender expression. And what I did was I explained how our bodies are so similar and we can come in all these ways. And there's 3 kinds of orgasms. There's orgasms that you get from places you touch: my nipples, my throat, my clit, my prostate, my penis. And then there's orgasm techniques, like learning the techniques for female ejaculation or expanded orgasm or male multiple orgasm. Those are techniques. And then there's objects, and this really is right up your alley too. There are objects objects that create orgasms, and they can be sex toys, fetish wear, electrostim, you know, whatever it might be. There are paths to orgasm that are not I touch your clit or I'm doing a particular stroke. And I feel like every person has the ability to learn every single one of those orgasms. And what I really try to do, I call myself an orgasmonaut. I'm like an astronaut that goes into outer space, into the unknown areas of orgasmic potential, and figures out how to come in new and different ways. So I've personally learned every one of these 20 techniques. The only ones I can't do are have a prostate orgasm. But it's all learnable. And that's honestly one of my biggest the biggest things that I want to let people know in the world is that orgasms are all learned, and you can enjoy a lifelong learning experience with your orgasmic potential, continually expanding it. And you know, a lot of times if I'm with a new partner for the first time, I'll say to them, I'm going to tell you every time I come. And I just keep saying, I just came. I just came.
Let's do it again.
You know, in a 2 or 3 hour lovemaking experience, I'll come 20, 30, 40, 50 times. And when they're done, they're just like, that was unbelievable. I have never been with someone who could and you came from me eating your pussy, you sucking my cock, me fucking you, you fucking me, using a sex toy, me playing with your boobs, making out, you know. And so it's all it is you just stack these skills, and if you believe you can do it and I give you the process, you can do it. So I don't believe that I believe that every person can learn all the things if they want to and they're open to it.
Yeah, well, making us feel like rookies here.
Yeah.
So,
we need the course.
Yeah.
I'll give you everything.
So all right.
Your roll-up account, so you have it all. But I don't think you should feel like rookies. What I think you should feel like is, I'm excited to learn
totally excited.
because I love sex and it's such a gift. And I have such a special life because I pursue it, and I can't wait to learn even more.
Yeah, so like we've dabbled with the multiple male orgasms, multiple couple orgasms, and the whole clenching your the muscle that goes from
PC
your
muscle.
PC muscle, that's it, and then clenching that and releasing it, and like holding off your orgasm, and then having multiple kind of smaller orgasms until you get to a point where I can't take it anymore. But so typically how our sex life is we wait until Diane has to, like, finally she's at a point. Like, we've tried to have multiple orgasms. You were training yourself, and she gave herself a knot in her PC muscle. Like, it was a knot that wouldn't go. It took like 6 months for it to go away. It's better now, but it was painful for Diane. And
you should try the cooch ball. Do you know about the cooch ball?
Is that a cooch ball?
It's also on the other side of the ball. It says gooch ball because it's for guys too. It's a pelvic floor relaxation ball. You know how when you like rub a tennis ball into your back?
Oh, yes.
You can rub this cooch ball into your yoni, into your pelvic bowl, and it'll do really well to loosen that tissue, open it, increase blood flow, help with oxygenation and healing. Because, gosh, once you damage things, they're forever a little damaged, and so you kind of have to keep remediating them. Another thing that would be really good for that, I am going currently through a series of treatments called FemiWave, FEMIWAVE. It's the female version of Gainswave, which is so fantastic for regenerating penile tissue. And the FemiWave is really great for getting deeply into the pelvic bowl and generating blood flow and generating new tissue growth. And so if you've ever had any any damage. I have had a cesarean. I have some damage on my mons that's happened from something. I don't know what. I've got some scar tissue. I've had a little tear in my vaginal opening. I've had loss of tissue in my clitoral structure.
Oh,
And
really?
over the years, I've done a lot with PRP, with O-shot, the orgasm shot, and combining it now with this acoustic wave technology called FemiWave to really reconstitute all that tissue. It's like I'm 61 and it makes me feel like I'm 31 again in the level of orgasmic intensity I have, how much blood flow and engorgement I have, how much pleasure I feel. So thank God we have these what are called sexual regenerative treatments or therapies now in today's modern age, so that we can, if we are lovers of sex, we don't have to think, oh, we're going to age out of it. We're just going to keep turning back the clock on our genitals with and penis pumps, vulva pumps. These are fantastic as well. I've written all about that in
Interesting.
I have a book called The Pump Guide. It's at pumpingguide.com, pumpingguide.com. And I explain how all that stuff works. And it really is amazing. I mean, my partner's penises are so incredibly they're just like arms, so solid and veiny and hard. And they're 59 and 65.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's
and they have absolutely gorgeous cocks because they pump and they get gains waves and they get pee shots and they just keep it up. It's just like working out.
So I was always under the impression that penis pumps were just a fad. They didn't really work. But you're saying if you double it up with this gains wave, which I'm curious as what this is. It electric therapy? Is it shooting some type of sound waves through your penis, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, so Gainswave and FemiWave use an acoustic wave machine. There's both linear and radial wave machines. They originally came from fixing joint and tendon issues and breaking up kidney stones and kind of targeted internal stimulation of the body in various ways. And
is it like high frequency or low frequency? If you know anything about the science behind it.
I'm not sure what the actual sine wave is, what the frequency is, but what they do is they go deeply into the tissue of your penis or into your vulva, and they stimulate new tissue growth and bring oxygenated healing and neurogenesis, regenerating the nerve tissue as well as the body, the corporeal tissue, and the vascular tissue. So you get more blood vein and muscle and capillary growth as well. It also knocks the plaque off of the penial artery, which a lot of men who have the beginning of heart disease, which most people do, it's the number one cause of death. It knocks the plaque off so that you get much more blood flow into the penis. And we women have as much erectile tissue as men do. So we suffer the same atrophy and the same issues. And a lot of women lose sensation. They struggle to climax. So do men struggle to climax as they age or struggle to get full erectile function. And the pump is actually, there are Chinese novelty items that you get at adult stores that do not work. They don't have gauges. You, Peter, you know this very well, that there are FDA class 2 high quality devices, and then there's hunks of junk and copies and knockoffs that are crap. And you should never use that crap on your dick, for sure. I work with a company that makes something called the Whopper, which is the only pump out there that really pumps. I know, isn't that so cute?
I like
it pumps both for length and girth, because most men want to be a little bigger all the way around. So some men use it for reversing atrophy. Most men use it for penis enlargement. And when you have a really good product, honestly, the pump is like the base, that and nitric oxide supplementation. Those two things are like the foundation. And then you can add the gains waves on top of that, add the pee shots on top of that. But you really start with pumping every other day or a couple times a week for 13 weeks. 10 months, you really start to see those 10-20% gains in overall penile volume. And the pump can also be used with a vulva pump and a clit pump to draw more blood into the pussy so that it gets really nice and engorged. It's like the third day of hot sex on day one. You know, you can really fill yourself up with a lot of blood, and it makes sex way better early on. It's almost like foreplay done for you, but don't skip the foreplay.
Yeah, never skip the foreplay.
No, never.
So if there were like a starter kit for people who are aging, which of course is all of us, for sex as you age, because everything changes. Your needs change, your triggers change, what you're capable of, stamina, etc. What would be maybe a top 3 kind of starter kit as far as you're concerned of techniques or books? Feel free to promote here, but like, what should people look to as they age to help them still have a healthy sex life?
Yeah. Number 1 is nitric oxide supplementation and continuing to keep up eating your leafy green vegetables and your beetroots. That the most important thing is blood flow. All of sex hinges on blood flow, both for erectile function and sensation. So eating your greens and taking a nitric oxide supplement, because by the time you're 50, you have half the nitric oxide production you did when you were 20, if you're eating leafy green vegetables and beetroot multiple times a day.
Wow.
So that is ground zero. Number 2 for men is the penis pump, the Whopper, I think is the really, really good one. And then stack on top of that Gaines Wave or the Phoenix at-home device that delivers a kind of a baby acoustic wave. And then the frosting on the cake would be PRP, platelet-rich plasma injections, the P shot. And then the cherry on top would be, if you're like super rich and you're just like, throw everything at my dick, it would be stem cells, exosomes injected in as well.
Wow, that's like some Tom Brady stuff right there.
That's right.
Yeah. So just
I can answer for women too if you want me to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was it for everyone. Yes, please.
Okay, so for women, it would be nitric oxide supplementation. And I don't have a bottle of my Flow around here anywhere, but I'll send you guys some if you want to have it. It's called Flow, Flow, and it's an organic nitric oxide supplement made from fruit and vegetables. And the link for your listeners is buyflownow.com. That's the cheapest, best shipping, best bundle, best rate, buyflownow.com. For women, I start with that because they lose lubrication, they lose blood flow, they get thin tissue. And then the second thing I recommend is a combination of an at-home device called the VFit Gold. The VFit Gold is an intravaginal device that goes inside your vagina that has red light therapy, warmth and vibration. It's not a sex toy. It doesn't make you come. It's recollagenating the vaginal mucosa. It's stimulating the Kegel muscles. It's toning the pelvic bowl. And the red light is stimulating the growth in the vaginal mucosa lining, which is what gets thin when you get older. It gets kind of frail from lack of estrogen. And so you want to keep supplementing with the red light so it stays nice and thick and juicy and plump and velvety and luscious and full of blood. And the VFit Gold is great. And then stacked on top of that, I would do FemiWave treatments with the acoustic wave to keep keep it all, your whole pelvic bowl going, because the VFit doesn't really do deeply into the pelvic bowl. It's really a vaginal restoration type of a product. And then from there, I would do O shots. I would stack O shots on top of that, the orgasm shot, my own PRP, your own PRP from your own body, injected into that big clitoral structure, the arm. It goes into the clitoral shaft.
Yeah, we have a puppet called Volvita. Clitori. Yeah, we got a Clitori. Yeah, anyways.
Exactly.
So this is an actual, like a needle shot. They actually put the needle into the clitoris, the full structure, like the vestibules,
crura, the vestibular bulbs. It goes right in, and that whole thing's like a sponge, so it just soaks it all up. They stick it into the shaft, and they stick it into basically up toward the G spot inside the vagina. But I've also had it. Remember when I was saying I had like a little tear in my opening to my vagina? They put some. My doctor put some right there, and it healed that thing finally.
Oh, wow. And what's in this shot?
It comes from your own blood. They take your blood out. They run it through a centrifuge. They pull off the white and the red blood cells, and they're left with something called a fibrin-rich matrix, PRP, platelet-rich plasma. That's all the healing and growth factors from your own blood, from your own body. And it's super concentrated and then injected into the tissue, the penial or the vulval tissue. And because it's so spongy, it holds it in there. So when you've done a Gaines wave or had a treatment like that, and then you add the PRP, and you can mix stem cells in with it too. So you even super concentrate the growth factors. That really reconstitutes tissue very nicely.
So you can't go to like a Kaiser and do this. What type of like specialist do you have to go see? I just can't go to my general practitioner like, hey, I want some like an O shot put right into my clitoris.
Or PRP or something.
Yes, I need some PRP done. Where do you go to do all this?
Yeah, if you go to gainswave.com or femiwave.com, there's a directory. If you just Google O shot directory or P shot directory, the directory comes up and you can search by your zip code to see where people are in your area. And what I often do is I tell people cross tab the two databases. I mean, it'd be nice if there was one database, but cross tab the two databases for your area and see who's doing both and go to that person who knows how to do both things, because you're doing basically a sexual biohacking stack where, you want it to all happen at the same time. My practitioner gives me FemiWave and O shots at the same time. Gaines wave and P shots to my husband. So that's the best if you can get it.
And what kind of doctor is it? Actually a doctor, or is it like a plastic surgeon, or is it like a biogenics person? I don't like what's the actual doctor who does it? Like urologist or
all kinds of doctors. Yeah, urologists, gynecologists, doctors of oriental medicine, acupuncturists, people who are not afraid to stick needles in dicks and pussies, basically.
Of course.
And people who are drawn to
I know a lot of people
medicine.
like that. Yeah. It's a whole other thing, though.
So that's interesting. So it's kind of a wide range of medicine. It's mixing Eastern and Western medicine, from urology to gynecology, acupuncturists. A massage therapist? I don't know.
No, because they're not licensed
to do
injections.
Got it.
Not at all.
Got it. Yeah. Let's see here. So you mentioned these 15 or I guess 20 types of orgasms. Can you list those off really quick? Should we time you?
At least a few bullet points.
Yeah, you said three. You said there's mainly three, but then
there's
categories. Three categories. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want us to time you or?
No, please don't. I won't. I don't know if I can do it all right off the top of my head, but
that's all right.
I can tell you that at my website, personallifemedia.com, there is, if you just type in the search box, "Come with me," it'll come up with all of the links to all the orgasms and how to have all of them. So let's give it a shot. Clit, G-spot, anus, or like generally ass, nipples and breasts, mouth, throat, tongue, lips, neck, belly, a coorgasm. And then there's G-spot and prostate, depending on your sexual equipment. And then there's things like female ejaculation, male multiple orgasm, expanded orgasm. Then there's like orgasm control. There's erotic hypnosis, which is like orgasms on command verbally. There's objects, so sex toys, electrostim, candle wax, sensation play. There's kink, so there's restraints and things like that. There's tying you up. There's flogging and spanking and all those, that whole entire giant category. I'm not sure what I'm forgetting.
Seems like you covered everything. I wasn't counting,
Male
but it seems like
orgasm, I think I said. But that gives you a good idea. Anyway, I'm sure I've forgotten a few, but I got a lot of them. I probably did 17 out of 20.
That sounds great. Your publicist just said it was 15, so you're already up in your game there. So,
the G spot gets a lot of attention, obviously, but you make mention of the P spot as well, which I think people talk about dramatically less. Can you give us a little bit more information there and how people get comfortable with finding and stimulating it?
Yeah, thank you, Peter. It's funny. One of the newest things that you'll like this. It's interesting. One of the newest things that I just created is a sex life assessment for singles and couples to kind of be more directed in their sexuality by seeing what it is that they'd like to learn next. I always want people to feel like their sexuality is a lifelong personal development pursuit. It's part of our personal growth. It's part of our maturation, and it's a part of our real joy and pleasure. And it's a seat of our power and purpose. So if, it's like, if you don't have a plan, you can't get there. Right. So what's your plan? What do you want to know most? What do you want to learn most? So I put together this thing that's basically helps you create your sex life bucket list. And it's at sexlifebucketlist.com, and it's a downloadable PDF. You can download it. You can print it out. You can go over it with your partner. You could each do it separately. And basically what it does is it goes through all 20 kinds of orgasms. They're listed there. Oh, wow. Plus it's 48 different things you can learn and do in the bedroom. Everything from role play to mutual masturbation to all kinds of fun ideas. Because what I found most is that what people want from me is they want ideas for fun. That's what they like the best from Susan Bratton. It's like, oh, now we're doing this thing. Oh, we started an expanded orgasm practice. I squirted for the first time. Hey, we used that sex toy and it was amazing. That kind of thing. So when you take the assessment, you rank them A, B, or C. And this is really fun to do with couples, where you say, okay, well, I'm an A for these things, but I'm a B. I'd be willing to do. They wouldn't be A's for me, but if they're your A, I'm a B. I'd be open to doing this if this was something that was important to my partner. And then C's are, this is not for me right now, because never say never. Things you used to look at it and go, that's really freaky. You're now like, oh shit, I'm a fucking freak.
You get comfortable and you start to push yourself, and you're just like, hey, that felt good. No, like I'm getting a little, I'm not bored of it, but let's let's I want it more, and let's take it to the next level. And then you start pushing yourself, and sometimes you can get a little too extreme, and you're like, all right, I got to pull back because
dial it back. That was a little bit,
and then you find the right comfort spot. So.
So what I found, can I finish that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
So I wanted to answer Peter's question, and I was kind of doing a lead up to it. The thing that I found out, and having a whole bunch of people take that sex life bucket list, so I'm always like, so what were on your top 4? Like, what did you want to do? What was on your bucket list? I'm always asking people to tell me what was on their bucket list. And generally across a wide swath of people, the top couple of things on a woman's bucket list, a lot of women, number 1 is, I want to have orgasms from intercourse. And I'm like, super good, because that's a learned skill. Every woman can do. You can definitely do it. And it makes fucking so much better. So good on you, girl. Number 2 is, I want to learn how to squirt. And that's like super, all women can do it. It's not pee. You will love it. It's so empowering and so great. Pursue it. For men, their number 1 thing is, I want to do whatever she wants to do.
Oh no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Yeah, been trained well.
Men are always like, they'll give up their pleasure for their woman's pleasure. They're just, they just want us to be happy and come like crazy. And then number 2 for men lately has been, I want to become a multi-orgasmic man. I want to learn that unlimited stamina technique. I really want to last super long and be able to come and come and come without worrying I'm going to have an ejaculation. And then their number 3 is P-spot orgasms. They want to have prostate generated orgasmic pleasure, especially blended, like stroke my cock and make, pleasure my P-spot. And so basically the P-spot is just the prostate. It's right up inside the rectum. It's basically the same directions you do for a G-spot. It's like stick your finger in, press up toward the abdomen, find the little thing that feels like a little walnutty thing that has a couple little ridges, and there, Bob's your uncle.
Golden ticket.
But what I like are all these new prostate tools. I mean, Aneros really, they were like the originators of this category. But Hot Octopus has this new tool, prostate tool, pleasuring tool called the Plex, that has a remote control. So what I like is, you can insert that into your partner's ass, and you can then control the remote and slowly take him up while you're giving him an incredible hand job, or a blended hand and mouth job or whatever, and give him probably the most explosive orgasm of his life.
Hmm.
So I think that's, one of those like, oh, it's not only the P-spot, but it's got a great sex toy that goes with it. It's just super. And of course that can be used with both parties. It can be inserted into her rectum as well to give her anal pleasure. And so many women find that to be like a really nice feeling, even when they're having intercourse or they're getting a yoni massage.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up about you mentioned a lot of different types of orgasms for the like when you just on your neck and just different body parts and stuff. I mean everyone's different, of course. I felt with my partners it's been more about just a combination of the things. I don't think I've ever given Diane just an orgasm from, massaging her breast or kissing her on her neck. That'll turn her on a lot, but like she has a few things that we have to go to make sure that she orgasms. I wouldn't be able to orgasm from just a certain, at least from my experience. I don't want to say that I can't, but maybe I can unlock something out there. But even like massaging my prostate, I don't feel that I could orgasm just from that. It would have to be from also, shaft stroking. Are you saying that everybody has the ability to have an orgasm just from one of these kind of erogenous zones, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and the best way to do it is through orgasmic cross training. So you start by stimulating your prostate while you're stroking your shaft, and then pretty soon you have that pathway. You've expanded your neural pathways to pleasure. You've felt those feelings, and they start to turn you on, and then you associate it with pleasure, and then pretty soon you don't even need to stroke your cock. But why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you don't have to have them separately. They can all be additive. You can go from being basically in orgasmic, you can just be up and having orgasms in this orgasmic experience where, you're getting your neck suckled and that's making you come, and then you're getting your breasts played with and that's making you come, and then you're fucking and that's making you come. Like you start to get to the point where when you get turned on, everything feels orgasmic. And it's literally just having enough time and practice and experience and letting go of the limiting belief that you can't. Believing that you can. I can, so you can, because I'm built just like you are. And I just learned how.
So would you also recommend this? We've had this conversation on the show several times about the percentage of women who the majority of them can't orgasm from just penetration alone. I've heard anywhere from like 60% to 75 or 80%. My first question, and then there'll be a second question. First question, what do you feel that percentage is? And the follow-up question would be, does a woman, would she be able to train herself to orgasm just by penetration alone if you happen to be one of these women who can't orgasm from penetration? What do you think?
I think that 100% of women can orgasm from penetration, and that whole, I don't want to talk anymore about the orgasm gap. I just want to close the motherfucking orgasm gap with a removal of the limiting belief that I'm not the kind of woman who can. My wife just can't. Yes, you can. Here's what you need to do, and here's how to do it. What people need to understand, and this is what I spend a lot of my time talking about, is engorgement, which is blood flow. It is, you'll leave this conversation with like, okay, I got it, blood flow. I'm holding up a picture of a vulva for those of you listening to the podcast instead of looking at the videos, which are on YouTube. But this is the vulva. And if I peel away the tissue, this is what's underneath. And this is essentially the 3 erectile tissue systems of the vulva, the woman's genitals. There's the clitoral structure, which you know of because you've got your pillow, and that's your vestibular bulbs, your crura, your shaft, your glands, and then this little tube is actually the G-spot.
Oh, that's the G-spot.
That's the sponge that surrounds the urethra, and it looks like this.
Wow.
This is where the pee comes out.
Okay,
and this is the G-spot. It's a whole long tube like a pool noodle. And these little spines are the Skene's glands that suck the blood plasma, the fluid from the blood plasma in the pelvic bowl when you get turned on, and your pelvic bowl gets filled with blood and your pussy plumps up. You get your hard on, your clitoral erection and your pussy hard on. And then water from blood plasma is seeping down through the vaginal mucosa, giving you lubrication in the lining of your pussy or the vagina. And then it's also flowing down into your urethra so that when you have a contraction, it shoots the fluid out of your pee hole. Just like a guy, he ejaculates and urinates out of his pee hole, and so do women. And it's not pee, it's, I mean, guys don't urinate inside us when they ejaculate. Our body knows how to, it's a little muscle that closes and opens. So there's 3 erectile tissue systems. One is the clitoral, second is the urethral, and third is the perineal sponge between the vaginal opening and the rectum. And
it's fascinating. With how much I've read on this, I've never heard anyone explain female ejaculate that well. Because of course it's this constant debate, and that's why you were heading off the debate when you mentioned it. Because it's always a debate: is it urine or not? And there's all these angles on why it is or is not, but I've never heard anyone actually explain what it is, and it's fascinating to me that I can't find that anywhere. So that was really interesting to hear you detail that.
This is why Susan Bratton is awesome, because she's an anatomy nerd with her own damn illustrations.
I like
I'm here to set the record straight that all women, once that vaginal erectile tissue is all plumped up with blood, then it's essentially wrapped around the vagina. You don't even need to touch the tip of the clitoris. You can if you want to, but you don't even need to touch the tip of the clitoris, because when that penis pulses inside that vagina and stretches and pumps all that tissue, it sends massive amounts of pleasure signals to your brain. So men have 3 erectile tissue systems in their penis. Here, I'll show you that too. Let's see. I got all my little charts and graphs here. So this is the male urogenital system, and what I'm showing here is this is the penis, and there are 3 chambers in here. There's 2 corpus cavernosum and 1 spongiosum. The spongiosum is basically the same as the G-spot in that it's the tube that wraps around where his urethral tube and exit is, and then the cavernosum fill with blood. And he's got this thing called hemodynamics that are he's got a couple of competitive advantages, masculines and sexuality. One is they have a lot more testosterone, so they're horny every day,
all the time.
The second is they masturbate every day because they're biologically wired to keep their sperm fresh and topped off, so that when we're like, baby fuck me, they can pass on their seed. And so they're always horny, and women are in a 28-day cycle even after menopause. So, we have a longer arousal. We can be turned on anytime, but we're not as turned on when we start. And then guys have the third benefit, which is the hemodynamics, where the blood flows into their dick like bam, instantly. And they got a hard on, right? Where for us, we've got all these nooks and crannies like English muffins, where the butter has to melt. And that's why they say foreplay for a woman is like 20 to 30 minutes to get all that. And if you rub it and you vibrate it and you lick it and you suck it and you play with it before penetration, it's going to make the penetration feel so good to her, better than it's ever felt. But women tend to rush guys because sex intercourse isn't as good for them sometimes. And so then they don't want it anymore. And then guys are like super horny and frustrated all the time because they went at his speed instead of her speed. And it's literally that simple. And then things that can really help you cross that gasm chasm are
the gasm chasm. I love it.
Like the gap, the orgasm gap that Dr. Lori Nintz talked about, that 60 versus, that 40 versus 90%, right? Or whatever it is. So you got to get rid of the limiting belief that you can't. Number one, you fucking can, right? I believe in you. You can do it. You got the same parts we do. I can do it. You can do it, right? And I learned how to. I almost lost my marriage because I got so tired of having sex with my husband. 11 years into my marriage, I was just like, I do not want to fuck you anymore. What are we gonna do? And instead of getting divorced like all our friends did, and we knew it wasn't money because we were all employed, it was sex. Guys will just go on to the next horny girl and the next horny girl and rely on new relationship energy instead of any skill to actually learn how to fuck. So I write fucking techniques as well. And I've got a whole bunch of fucking techniques because what you see on porn, again, going back to what Peter said, is like
terrible.
How not to do it. We don't need to be up. We want a piston sometimes. That's one move. But like, there's so many more.
Yeah, I always say that porn is essentially an action movie. It technically was filmed. Those are technically people doing those things. Technically, all of that's possible. No one's enjoying it. None of it actually works if you try to do it in real life. It's something to eat popcorn or jack off to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I do want to go back to the urethral sponge. So for those who aren't too familiar with it, a lot of guys think that it doesn't exist. Just let's go back to this picture that you have up. So you have to. I'll go back to me. So if I'm going to mime this, pantomime it. So if you're putting your fingers inside of a vagina, there's the vaginal opening, and then there's a spongy material that is on the top of the vagina. That is the root. So that is the G sponge or the G spot or the urethral sponge. What about right beyond that, before the cervix? Is that also part of it, or is that just part? That's just part right above that's before the cervix.
That's called the anterior fornix most of the time. That spot between the G spot, which is kind of the first third of the vaginal canal on the top. But the thing is that once that G spot gets really, really stimulated, if you move, I always say, I have an ebook that's free that has a bunch of G spot toys that I review in it. It's called gspotjoy.com. And it comes with an explicit video about how to use things like those wands, those heavy wands, the glass and the stainless wands, because they're fantastic. I mean, you warm up one of those heavy Enjoy Pure wands in a warm water in your sink, and then you insert that into your woman and start to use that on her G-spot, and it is out of this world, that nice warm stainless steel. But you have to know how to do it so you don't hurt her. And you really need to start with fingering techniques, which is in my female liquid orgasm program that goes well beyond just the come hither and gives you a lot more ideas of things to do that engorge that sponge to the point where you can feel it even further back. She wants you to have even deeper stimulation, but also hooking up toward the front of the pelvic bone is very important. And a lot of people, they go in and they completely miss the most important spot for G-spot stimulation. So, it's not the kind, I mean, you can get in there and fuck around and find out if you want to, but there's nothing better than some couple of, minutes of decent videos and good instruction before you start to give yourself a champion success rate,
It's like, figuring out how to make the perfect chocolate chip cookie. Is like you can play around with it all you want, but as soon as you get the right recipe. Or you can just
make the Toll House recipe.
Exactly.
That's right.
And at least start from someone's recipe. Someone put in all the work, and then you can build off of that. Find your own version of it, but don't start from scratch.
The last thing I wanted to chat about real quick was that you mentioned about the roles of like the neurotransmitters, regrowth and whatnot, but then there's we were told that you have some theories on like microbiomes and trying to reproduce these to help out with that. Is that correct?
Well, what I think a lot about is the prostate biome and the vaginal biome and the urethral biome. And
sorry, real quick, to explain what do you mean by a biome? Like,
what
just
I mean by a biome is just like your gut microbiome, where in your alimentary system you have good bacteria and bad bacteria. You've got good bacteria like the lactobacillus bacteria and things like that are helping create your neurotransmitters and helping generate your positive immune system and all of those things. And then you've got bad bacteria like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and H. pylori and candida fungus and all this stuff. And our biomes are all interrelated. So what you have in your gut biome directly affects your prostate biome, your breast biome, your oral biome is also connected. So are your teeth and do you get your teeth cleaned? Is your breath fresh?
The dentist push that a lot when you go to the dentist, like this will affect your whole life. Make sure to get your teeth clean. So yeah.
It is so true because the plaque that forms in your arteries comes from bad bacteria in your mouth. It's a calcification bacteria. And interestingly enough, if you don't take enough of a combination of vitamin D, vitamin A, and vitamin K, K2 is the one, and you can take it in the form of an animal or a plant form. There's MK4 and MK7. One comes from natto, which is a soybean, a fermented soybean, and the other comes from proteins, animal proteins. It doesn't matter. You just need vitamin K. If you have a lot of plaque in your teeth, you're probably low on vitamin K and probably on vitamin D. So you need D, A, and K to really keep your microbiomes good. And the prostate and the vagina are downstream of the oral gut microbiome. And a lot of times women have a lot of UTIs or bacterial vaginosis or yeast infections, or they just feel like their pussy's off or it doesn't smell good. And a lot of that is just really based on how much sugar you're eating, how much booze you're drinking, and how many carbs, all the white flour, all the starches that you're eating. That's what feeds that bad bacteria and helps them take root and give you those problems. So for women, a lot of times I say, take a good women's probiotic, but instead of orally taking it, you can take it orally. Just open the capsule, pour it out in your hand, mix it with some oil, olive oil, avocado oil, whatever you're making your salad dressing with at home, and make homemade salad dressing. Don't buy bottled salad dressing. It's the easiest thing in the world to shake up oil and vinegar and some mustard, salt and pepper in a jar and throw in a dried herb, and it tastes a million times better. It's cheaper and you'll live longer because you don't want to eat that crappy seed oil. Really, sexual health is your health, your libido, your hormone production, your neurotransmitter production, your vaginal and prostate microbiomes, and all those things are directly attributed to what you eat and how you eat it. So it all comes down to good biomes and taking good care of them through nutrition. And then, of course, blood flow comes from exercise, moving your body, doing some high intensity interval, running some stairs, taking a walk, getting your 10,000 steps. If you want to live a long time, that's the simple shit you need to do. Long and fuck well.
Well, thank you, Susan. This was fantastic. There was so much actual, like, very, very knowledgeable stuff that we haven't heard about. It was very educational. What are some if you want to go ahead and say your websites or what some books that are coming out or something
or
that you
courses?
have? Yeah, any courses that you have? Whatever you have.
Sure. Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Susan Bratton, SUSAN, BRATTON. I have an OnlyFans as well under my same name. And one of the best places to find out content for me is at betterlover.com. I've shot over 200 videos on almost anything you could imagine, including everything we've talked about today. And I think that the penetration orgasm series is really good there, as is the yoni massage series, how to give a woman a yoni massage. I think that's a really important aspect of lovemaking and foreplay and engorgement, which we talk so much about. And then if you just want to find those articles, the fucking techniques, you look up Making Whoopee at personallifemedia.com, and also Come With Me, the 20 Kinds of Orgasms are at personallifemedia.com. The penis pumping and sexual regenerative therapies are at pumpingguide.com. And if you reply to any of my emails anytime, I'll always reply to you. I learned all this from helping others, and it's always my pleasure to pay it forward. So thank you so much for having me, Chet and Diane and Peter. I really appreciate the opportunity. You asked great questions. We got into some really good stuff and important things that people do need to know, that everyone deserves and can have ageless sexuality, and sex can keep getting better our whole life long. So I look forward to connecting with you soon, and thanks again for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was such an amazing interview. Like, we had so much fun.
Formal.
Yeah, very informative.
Informative, that's what I was going.
We were informal. We said
that's the word I was
pussy.
going for.
We said all these words. It was so informal, but no, it was very informative. She's an orgasmonaut. She really is. She's dedicated to make sure that people have great orgasms, and we tried out one of her or a couple of her videos. We did the massage, just the basic massage, and then we also did orgasmic cunnilingus and fellatio. And they were great videos. There was stuff that we've never tried before. It's not for everyone. You just gotta, like she was saying, that there is you pick a ABC checklist. You figure out what you want to do with your partner, and then you also figure out like what you want to what you're into, what you want to try, and when something's like maybe in the future. So there's some things on these videos that you're just like, that seems like a little much for me, or that it's there. I don't know. How would you describe that, Diane? What we watch?
I agree everything you just said. It's just take what you want and apply to your own life.
Yeah. So it's some things are a little too vigorous, and like for us at least. But it was just like, we'll work up to it and give it a shot.
And then the one person was super fit, like he was doing like a yoga pose, getting fellatio, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, that was
very impressive.
The fellatio with the P-spot massage, and he was like arched back, grabbing his ankles and like getting a nice blowjob while like the girl was putting her fingers in his ass, and I was just like, man, that guy is like, he's a definite yogi right there, huge yoga instructor. But we are going to have Susan back on the show for a Christmas episode on December 17th. She's going to go over some other techniques with us, and hopefully that will be our gift to you, some different lovemaking techniques. So go ahead and join us for that. We will be taking the next few weeks off from the podcast and from the live stream on Twitch here, because we have an exciting project that we will share with you in the near future. We can't talk about it right now, but we will. I can guarantee you it's something that is above and beyond of what we're doing right now. And so our next show is going to be on November 19th of 2022. And we hopefully, if everything goes right, part of the project that we're working on will put us in a new parlor. So we're in a parlor right now. We're going to have another one that's a little bit more intimate. We'll bring in all our sex experts, our sex expert and Wells, and we'll be in one room, and we'll, instead of doing stuff through the internet here. And so join us for that. We'll be back live November 19th. Please give us a like on the podcast that you're listening on, or also follow us on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, the whole social media gamut there. Also, please check out Susan Bratton's website and her product. She does know what she's talking about. She is just a mastermind of sex entrepreneur, and please give her all the like and help, or just not help, but go ahead and experience her products. They really will help you out, and it was a lot of fun for us to chat with her, and we're really looking forward to talking with her again. So please keep it safe, sane, and consensual. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you very much.